How's it going, everybody? So in today's video we will learn how to create a simple login form using just HTML and CSS. Now this is what the final product will look like right here. We have this title login form and we have two input fields where if we were to focus on any one of them we will get a more emphasized box shadow in the background. And this is my most favorite part of the tutorial, this button, where if we hover over it we have this cool little gradient effect that switches from one color to another. And right down here we have a don't have an account and a sign up anchor tag button right there. Cool, let's get into it. Alright, so go ahead and open up your code editor of choice, and the first thing that we'll do is create two files, one for CSS and one for HTML. So I'll do touch loginform.css and touch loginform.html. And I will just minimize my terminal. Let's get rid of that, and I'll type in doc, open up this little shortcut, and it'll build us the skeleton for HTML file. And inside of the head I will do a link tag with a self-closing brace, and I'll do rel is equal to style sheet, type is equal to text/CSS, and last but not least href is equal to loginform.css, and that's all we need to connect our HTML and our CSS together. Now let's go ahead and create our skeleton for our login form. Alright, so to do that I will create a div, and I'll create an h2 that says login form. We'll give the class names and everything a little bit later, and I'll create another div, give it an input. Let's do placeholder is equal to username, type is equal to text, and I will just copy this div right here and I'll paste it again, and instead of username we'll do password. And now underneath it let's create a button with sign in, and now underneath that let's create a span that has an anchor tag, and we'll do sign up within the anchor tag. And for the span we'll do don't have an account question mark space. And now let's go ahead and build all of our class names that we need. So instead of doing lowercase I will just do uppercase username, and I'll just go with that naming scheme, trying to keep it similar. So for the first div we'll give it a class is equal to username, and the h2 let's leave it as is. For this div I'll do class, oh wait, no, not class username, I meant to say login form container. I looked at the wrong part of my script. Alright, so div I'll do class is equal to username, and for this one I'll do class is equal to password, and for the button I'll just do class is equal to button. Let's do sign up button, there we go. And last but not least for our span I'll do class is equal to sign up, there we go. Oops, sign up. Alright, so now we're done building the actual HTML. Now let's go into our CSS file and start building that up. So first thing I'll do is target the body, and I'll give it a background color of white smoke, and I'll target the class name login form container, and I'll do a width at 390 pixels, background hashtag FFF, border radius at 10 pixels, overflow to be hidden, box shadow, and we'll do 0, 3 pixels, 20 pixels, 0 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.1. Oops, and now underneath that I will do a margin left auto, margin right auto, padding top 32 pixels, padding bottom to be 35 pixels. And that's all we need for our login form container. Now for all of the children that we're going to have inside a login form container, I will do login form container and a star, display, we want it to be table, and margin 0 auto. There we go. Alright, so let's actually see what this will look like, and it shouldn't look like much. As you can see right here, we have our box made, but there's no CSS for our title, input, or whatever. So let's go ahead and work on our title and our 2 input fields. So the first thing I'll do is target our H2, and I'll give it a color of black. Line height 1.2, text align, we'll do center, display block, padding bottom to be 37 pixels. Let's do font family Arial, and font weight at 600. And now let's go ahead and work on our main inputs besides having to actually specify which input. So to do that, I'll target all of our inputs. So input, and I'll do border radius at 15 pixels, outline at 0, border width at 1 pixel, padding at 5 pixels, transition all 0.3, ease in and out. This will be our transition for our whenever somebody focuses on our actual input field or selects them, it'll have that box shadow transition effect. And border style solid, font size, and we'll do 16 pixels. Line height, and for line height we'll do 1.2. Display block width 100%, height 62 pixels. Background, we'll make it transparent. Padding, we'll do 0, 20 pixels, 0, 23 pixels. Border none. Font family at sans serif, and we'll do box shadow to be 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 31 pixels, -9 pixels, RGBA 204, 204, 204, 1. And now let's target our individual username and passwords. I just want to make sure I got the proper. Okay, copy that. There we go. And I'll do margin bottom at 20 pixels, and password margin bottom at 20 pixels. Now let's see what this will actually look like. Okay, refresh. Alright, that looks okay. There's no box shadow. I think we had a little bit of issue there, but let's fix that. Okay, let's see what we have. Box shadow XP, so let's do PX. And now it should work 100%. There we go. Now we have a box shadow. It's got a little bit smooth edges. It just looks good overall. Looks really good. Now let's work on the button, my favorite part. You know what, before we do that, let's fix this username and password because they're one word. So instead of doing username like this, we'll do username password like that. We'll do password this type. Let's make it equal to password. And now let's add an effect where when we focus on any of the input fields, it adds a more emphasized box shadow effect. So to do that, I will target input, input, array brackets type is equal to text, focus, and box shadow 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 31 pixels, -9 pixels, RGBA, let's do 150 by 150 by 150 by 1, and border color RGBA. Actually, no, we don't need that. Outline to be none, and I will do input where type is equal to password focus, and I'll copy this, paste it, and now let's see if we actually have that effect working. But there's no transition, so let's work on that transition now. And see, here's the thing about CSS, there's always like itty bitty little things that we always end up missing. And in this transition all 0.3, I forgot to add an S for seconds. And now it should work where we have a cool 0.3 second long box shadow emphasis on focus transition. Alright, now let's finally work on the button. So I'll just target all the buttons since there's only one button. And I'll do font size at 16 pixels, font weight 600, color #FFF, cursor, we'll just do pointer, margin 20 pixels, height 55 pixels, text align center, border none, background size we'll do 300% and 100%, width 132 pixels, border radius 50 pixels, and transition all 0.4 seconds, ease in out. And now on focus, so button on focus, we'll do outline to be none, border to be none. And now for the hover effect, so I'll do button on hover, transition we want all 0.4 s, ease in out, background position 100% and 0, and here let's add some more stuff to the button. So for the actual background gradient itself, I'll do background image, background image, there we go. And for that I'll do linear gradient to right, not that, to right. So these are going to be a lot of hex code, so it'll be 25 AAE1 4481EB 04BE FE 3F86ED. And last but not least, let's add a box shadow 0, 4 pixels, 15 pixels, 0, RGBA at 65, 132, 234, and 0.75. Now let's see how this bad boy looks. Wow, that looks really bad. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with the actual hex codes. The only thing that was wrong was we just needed to add an extra comma right after the right. And now it works. It doesn't work. We need to save it. And now it works. There we go. And just to let you all know that I did not make this button on my own. I actually got it from I actually got help from it from a code pen. The link to that is in the description below. It's an amazing one. That's really cool. They have amazing different color variations of the actual button. Alright, so now we're basically done. I just want to work on this little don't have an account sign up part right here. So to do that, at the very bottom, I will target the sign up class name. So I'll do padding top 5.5 EM, and I'll do a padding top 0.5 EM, And last but not least, A on hover, so the anchor tag on hover. We'll target the color to be hashtag 007BFF. Transition 0.2 seconds, ease out. And now let's see what this looks like. Nice. Zoom out, and now we can actually see that it's actually responsive. So if I have this responsive little part right here, I can zoom, well, I can make the screen smaller and smaller and smaller, all the way up to right about there, about 107 pixels, which I don't think there's any device as small as that. The smallest one is an iPhone 5 SE, and we can see that's still inside of its proper responsiveness. Cool, so that covers how to create a simple login form using just HTML and CSS. If y'all enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.